Let's get real for a second. Remember that Oprah interview? The one where Meghan Markle sat there with those dramatic pauses and Oprah gave her that wide-eyed, "What? Look?" Oh, everyone thought that moment was about Meghan. But here's the tea nobody was sipping. It wasn't about Meghan at all. No, it was about the Queen. The Queen herself, and a decision so shocking, so against her own royal instincts that it nearly broke the monarchy from the inside out. Because long before Meghan dropped her bombshells on TV, the Queen had already been forced to swallow her pride. She had to approve a wedding she didn't believe in. Not because she wanted to, not because Harry begged her, but because the palace was terrified. Yes, terrified. If she said no, people wouldn't just call her strict, they'd call her racist. And that was a word the palace feared more than scandal, more than divorce, more than anything. Behind those perfect royal smiles, behind that fairy tale wedding was a storm no one wanted to admit. Let me say it plain, the Queen didn't give her blessing, she surrendered it, and that single choice would haunt her family for years. Now King Charles carries that wound, and let me tell you, he will never forgive the woman who forced his mother's crown to bow. Meghan's first move. When Harry brought Meghan home, the Queen already smelled the trouble. Oh, she knew. She had seen charm before, ambition before, but this was different. Meghan wasn't just charming Harry, she was rewriting the script. And Harry, he was blind. Head over heels, ears shut to every warning. Still, the Queen tried to be kind. She thought, maybe kindness will stop the storm. So she did something unthinkable. She invited Meghan to Sandringham for Christmas, before they were even married. No unmarried woman had ever gotten that privilege. Ever. The Queen broke centuries of rules just to show Meghan she was welcome. She even tried to include Meghan's mom, Doria, and her dad, Thomas Markle. But Meghan? Oh, Meghan wasn't having it. She flat out refused to bring her own mother. Said she didn't want anything spoiling her big moment. And Thomas? Forget it. Meghan threw a fit the second the palace tried to invite him. She wanted to walk in alone. Alone. No family, no roots, no distractions, just Meghan. All eyes, all cameras on her. And right there, the Queen saw the first crack. Isolation through image, playing the victim and the star all at once. But still, the Queen gave her blessing. She thought warmth would disarm those whispers of racism Meghan had already started hinting at in private. But oh, how wrong she was. That kindness, it backfired. Because Meghan was already planning her next move. The wedding that wasn't a wedding. The Queen's yes didn't just open the gates, it unleashed chaos. Harry and Meghan's wedding cost £30 million. £30 million. And the security? Higher than Charles and Diana's, higher than anything in royal history. Eugenie's wedding? A fraction of that. But the Queen couldn't stop it. They had to protect Meghan, not from real threats, but from the backlash she had stirred up herself. Prince Charles tried to smooth things over. He even slipped Doria £30,000 to look the part of a royal mother-in-law. New clothes, the works. But Meghan blocked it, told her mom not to get too close, not to attend pre-wedding events, not to mingle with the royals. And when the palace begged Meghan for her family guest list, she gave them Hollywood celebrities, actors, producers, people who barely even knew her. No dad, no siblings, not even her wheelchair-bound sister. The Queen was heartbroken. But Meghan? Oh, she loved it. Because this wasn't about family. This was about image. A misunderstood woman walking into the monarchy alone, adored by millions. And the Queen? She finally started to see it. This wasn't a wedding, it was a stage. And Meghan Markle? She was the scriptwriter, the director, and the star. A ceremony of optics. The morning of that wedding should have been magical. Instead, the whole thing felt heavy. The Queen looked tired. Charles looked uneasy. And poor Doria? Sitting alone in a pale green coat, abandoned on one side of the chapel, while the entire royal bloodline filled the other. Every camera caught it. Every single one. A heartbreaking image, but make no mistake, it was staged. Charles scrambled to balance the optics. He brought in a black choir, a black pastor from America. He wanted unity, celebration, heritage. He wanted the world to see harmony, but to the Queen it was suddenly so clear. This wasn't about vows. This was about headlines, about Meghan sending a message to the public, and oh, she timed it perfectly. Princess Eugenie had just announced her engagement months earlier. Her family was thrilled. A sweet, elegant celebration planned for October. But right on cue, Meghan announced she was pregnant. Boom. Eugenie was forgotten. The press turned. The spotlight was back on Meghan. It became a pattern. Every time another royal made news, Meghan dropped something bigger. An engagement photo, a secret appearance, a rumor, anything to own the narrative. The Queen even tried to delay the wedding. She told her advisors, give it time. Harry will come to his senses, but Meghan's pregnancy story killed that plan. Suddenly, the palace had no choice. If they delayed, the world would scream racism, so the Queen surrendered again. Inside the palace, Charles and William argued day and night. They were desperate to protect the monarchy's reputation. But Harry? He wasn't hearing any of it. He was emotional, angry, defensive. He believed every word Meghan said. He wasn't just in love, he was hypnotized. The Queen stayed silent, but her silence was louder than any speech, because now the truth was sinking in. This wasn't a royal fairy tale. This was a royal illusion. Before those wedding bells even rang, let me spill this. The palace had tried everything to slow things down. Secret meetings, midnight phone calls, pleas from Charles himself. Everyone could see Harry was rushing into a trap. Everyone, except Harry. The Queen suggested delaying the wedding. Charles begged Harry to visit Thomas Markle after his heart attack. Show compassion, buy time, cool things down. They even offered to fly Thomas to London for medical care. But Meghan said no. No one would control her family or her plans. Charles tried again, pulling out his wallet. Flights, clothes, accommodations. He was ready to pay for Meghan's family to look dignified, united, black, white, royal, common. It didn't matter. He wanted them there. But Meghan shut it down. Cold. Charles thought maybe sincerity would touch her. But when the answer came back, she doesn't want sincerity. She wants spectacle. That's when the Queen knew. The battle was over. The Queen faced the ugliest choice of her reign. If she blocked the wedding, the palace would be branded cruel, racist, heartless. If she allowed it, they'd be mocked as fools. Either way, the monarchy lost. So the Queen did what she always did. She chose duty over comfort. She gave her blessing even as her stomach sank, and when the vows were said, the damage began. Harry, unrecognizable, withdrawn, defensive, cold to William. Charles tried to fix it, but every attempt drove Harry deeper into Meghan's arms. Meghan took control of everything. The photos, the media statements, the story. She and Doria built a narrative. The royals had shunned them for being black. And the irony? That was the very accusation the Queen had bent over backwards to prevent. The kindness she thought would shield the crown? Meghan turned it into a weapon. Even after leaving Britain, Meghan wasn't done. She started altering details, titles, surnames, even hinting that her kids might use the Spencer name instead of Mountbatten Windsor. The palace lawyers noticed, William noticed, Charles noticed. Meetings were held in whispers, discussions about succession laws, heirs, and what would happen if Harry and Meghan split. Now, let's talk about Charles. While William was boiling with anger, Charles was simmering with cold, calculated fury. Because unlike William, Charles had been through scandal before. Diana, Camilla, public humiliation. He knew what damage could do, but Meghan's damage cut deeper. For Charles, it wasn't just about reputation. It was personal. He remembered how hard he tried, offering Doria money, trying to bring Thomas Markle over, bending royal rules to give Meghan dignity. And what did he get in return? Accusations, lies, a son turned against him. And when Meghan claimed someone in the palace had questioned Archie's skin color, that was the dagger, Charles was devastated. Because no matter what anyone believed, he knew the truth. His family wasn't perfect, but that wasn't them. He swore he'd never forgive her for that. Across the ocean, Meghan was thriving. Lavish homes, red carpets, big deals. She built herself a new kind of royalty, a Hollywood throne. But the palace noticed something. They weren't just projects. They were platforms. Every documentary, every podcast, every carefully staged appearance was another attack on the monarchy. The Queen was aging, her health failing. And in her final years, she lived with regret. Regret that she had allowed herself to be cornered. Regret that she had bowed to pressure. Regret that she had welcomed Meghan into the fold. Insiders whispered that the Queen's yes was her last great mistake. And then came the inevitable. The Queen passed, and Charles finally became king. But unlike his mother, Charles wasn't going to play the same game. He wasn't going to bend. He smiled in public, yes. He shook hands, waved, cut ribbons. But behind the scenes, he was laying down the law, legal reforms, tighter control of titles, succession locks. He made sure the monarchy would never again be cornered by an outsider. For Charles, it wasn't just about protecting the crown, it was about avenging his mother. The woman who had been forced to bow to a trap, the woman who had died with that shadow over her reign, and now, years later, people still whisper about that day. The wedding, the spectacle, the price tag, the broken family, the endless drama. They call it the shotgun wedding. Not because Harry and Meghan were in danger, but because the monarchy was. A wedding born not from joy, but from fear, from pressure, from manipulation. And its legacy? A fractured family, a wounded king, and a monarchy that will never be the same. Because Charles may wear the crown, he may sit on the throne, but deep down, he is still that son who watched his mother forced into surrender. And for that, he will never forgive Meghan Markle. So let's lay it out. The Queen's kindness became her curse. Meghan's ambition became her weapon. Harry's love became his blindness. And Charles's crown became his burden. This wasn't just a royal love story gone wrong. This was a trap, a spectacle, a gamble that turned into the Queen's greatest regret and Charles's deepest wound. And as Meghan smiles across the ocean, basking in her Hollywood glory, the palace remains haunted. Because forgiveness may come easy to kings who are obeyed, but not to a son who saw his mother's crown bend under pressure. Never.